Her smile is in the lower spatial frequencies. The horizon is significantly lower on the left than it is on the right.
Wow. I was in high school, and my first thought when I saw the Mona Lisa was, wow, it's small. And I think everybody has that feeling like this is the most famous painting in the world, and you expect to walk up and have this be this grand portrait, and it's pretty small. And you're sort of caught up in the fact that everybody's there looking at it. You have the entire Louvre, but everybody congregates at this one spot to look at this one painting. And it's Leonardo's most famous painting in many ways because he said it was his best. And who knows better than Leonardo? And so it has a certain amount of mystique saying, geez, if Leonardo thought this was his best, it must be fantastic.
The first time I saw the Mona Lisa, I was 19 years old. I'd finished shooting a movie in Spain and taken the per diem that I saved up and jumped on the train and went to Paris for a few days with a buddy of mine who also acted in the movie, Charlie Martin Smith. And he lived for a couple of years in Paris, so that's what we did. A couple of teenagers, you know, living in some little hotel in the Latin Quarter, having a great time. And we went to the Louvre, and you know, there were hordes of tourists, and I wedged my way in, and I very patiently, you know, wormed my way up there to see the Mona Lisa. And I'm afraid, like a lot of other people, I thought, boy, kind of small. There's a lot of talk about this painting. What's so significant about her? And, you know, that's a legitimate question to ask, I suppose. But it's quite a different conversation in your own mind that you have when you're alone in the room with the Mona Lisa. And you are surrounded by this great artwork. And yes, of course, it's presented there in the center. But I think if you put that painting anywhere in the museum, you'd have to stop and look. There's just something mesmerizing, engrossing, thought-provoking, which is why, you know, the painting is a great choice as a sort of an iconic reflection of the movie, as a sort of a graphic, identifiable image related to the Da Vinci Code. Not only did Da Vinci paint it, of course, but it's this sort of enigmatic, mysterious quality that's perfect.
The first time I saw it was years ago when in its old place in the Louvre. It was the only time I'd ever been to the Louvre prior to us shooting in there, and it was surrounded by 80 people trying to get a glimpse of the Mona Lisa. There is something about the power of the physical scope when you're in the room all by yourself. On top of that, you're surrounded by masterpiece upon masterpiece. I mean, just walking to the set, I must have passed a dozen pieces of art that I have recognized all my life. And then you come up and here's a room with a bunch of C-stands and flags and the camera crane that's been broken down, and oh, turn around there, and there's the Mona Lisa. There she is looking out at I said, why can't craft service be in here? Can't we have the tea and the cookies right here as well? It would only complete the scenario.
I've never quite seen what the fuss about the Mona Lisa was. That's because the first time I saw it, it had a patina of old varnish on it, and I dare say it's been cleaned of late.
I know it was Leonardo's favourite painting because we know he carried it around with him, and I think he had it on his deathbed.
The first time I had contact, visual contact with the Mona Lisa, was about 24 or 5 years ago. At that time, I didn't understand its power or importance. As we were shooting in the Louvre, it was about 2 in the morning and the power went out. And I was searching for a room where there was some light. And I remember shards of light were coming through the top of the building into the main gallery, illuminating the main gallery, but in a very obstructed way. And I wandered off into a side gallery and sort of was searching my way through this gallery. And all of a sudden I stood face to face with the Mona Lisa and my knees buckled. And I was close to crying. It was a profound moment. I was all alone with that Mona Lisa.
Tom Hanks and I were standing there looking at the Mona Lisa at about 2:30 in the morning. And, you know, we agreed that the underwater shooting for Splash, that was pretty thrilling. The weightlessness for Apollo 13, hard to top. But all alone with the Mona Lisa at 2:30 in the morning in the Louvre in Paris, you know, it was a rare, amazing moment that we shared filming there.
The painting has a kind of a perfume because when you turn around, the eyes are following you. So it's kind of an exchange, and the power of Leonardo da Vinci's talent still. Everybody said the smile, but for me it is the eyes more than the smile.
Everyone comments on how the eyes follow around the room if you go left and right. I believe they call it ubiquitous gaze, ubiquitous stare. Basically, it's just a trick of the mind. Is when the viewer is looking at the painting, you think it's looking at you whichever direction you're looking at the painting, because the head is one way, the eyes are another way, and so there's always a mental focal point, and so you always assume that the eyes are following you.
It's one of those iconic images now, isn't it? You see it, it sells everything from movies to cars to, you know. I even saw a pair of boxer shorts that had a facsimile of the Mona Lisa.
I don't know why there's something so special about this painting. The technique is amazing, her face is beautiful, but it's kind of simple. And when you put her in a room with other paintings, strangely, the only one which attracts your look, it's the Mona Lisa. Why? Nobody knows. It's more than technical. There's something that we can't, I think, analyze and describe and almost explain. It's a mystery.
In some ways, it mirrors the book and movie in that there's something unknown about it. We're not sure what that little smile is, and it hints at what's behind the scenes. And people love that. They love thinking that there's a little bit more back there than meets the eye.